Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Comic Book Weekly. Glad we're all here starting at the same time and hopefully no technical issues this week. I got my battery charged, so I won't just cut out on you. So sorry about that last week, but we got a good show in store for you this week. We got some good comics to talk about. Hopefully we got some decent news to talk about as well. And guys, thank you so much. I'm going to hand it over to Kat. We're just going to get it started.
Yes. So here we go. We're going to get into some news. We have some media news, with the Super Bowl. Usually we have a lot of trailers this year. We didn't have that many, but the big one was the Winter Soldier Falcon trailer. So I didn't get to see it because I was telling Brent this right before the show. I saw the first trailer and that was kind of enough for me. I don't want to tease the whole show. So I'm I'd rather just kind of stop there and just watch the show. And we're also talking about WandaVision, which obviously we won't spoil. But I've decided to binge it all, even though the big moment has been spoiled for me and we were talking about it pre-show. I've decided to binge that show. And probably the same thing for Winter Soldier. I kind of want to watch it all at once. So yeah, trailers don't do it as much for me unless it's the first trailer. So, and I've already seen that. But for the people who have seen it, what do you think? What did you think of that trailer?
Yeah, so I was telling Kat that I actually I forgot to watch the trailer again. So I watched it right before I got on. So I was like, I gotta go watch it. But
okay.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, I don't think it spoiled anything. I just think what it did do was that it gave you a lot more what I guess is going to be action in the show. Mm-hmm. And you get to see kind of Falcon's tech on what he uses as to protect himself and stuff like that. There was some funny humor in it, but it didn't give away anything of the show really. But what it did do is it wound up making me want to watch even more of it. It looked good.
Yeah, it did look good, and Falcon flying underneath the 18-wheelers was kind of cool, and just their dynamic. They're frenemies basically. And I was telling Kat again. They showed Emily Van Camp back, Agent Carter's whatever she is.
I always get confused if it's Shannon or Sharon because there are two.
Yeah,
the MC2 universes. I think Sharon.
I think it's Sharon. Yeah,
I don't know. It's one of them.
I think it's Sharon. I think you're right. Yeah. But yeah, it was cool seeing her back. I love her from Revenge. So anytime I get to see her in something is cool. So I'm glad they brought her back for this.
That's cool.
So we do have a couple of questions here. So Lee Smith says, what about a Thor show? I think it's hard to tell because we have that Thor movie coming out. I think we won't really get a show until we know what the Jane Foster movie is going to bring to the Thor mythos.
Right.
Yeah.
And then
let's do a Beta Ray Bill show.
Oh,
maybe
Bill, that'd be cool. And I just want to thank Jimmy G Comic Guy. He says, "Hi Mike, I just became a new member of your channel. I figured I use you every week. It's the least I could do. I love your shows. So thank you very much, Jimmy, for supporting my channel. So that's awesome. Thank you very much."
Yeah, Jimmy's a cool guy.
He is. We love Jimmy and all the support he gives. Thank you so much, Jimmy.
Absolutely.
We do have a couple more comments about the shows. A lot of it's just how about this? How about this show? How about this show? I think anything's possible, right? Anything's possible. And I think that's what WandaVision's showing is these plot. From what I'm seeing, again, I'm only seeing the pilot and I only know the stuff that has happened. But for what I'm seeing from the outside and after I binge it all, they're doing a lot of plot stuff that maybe they would have only done for the movies. And it's kind of cool that they're doing this for shows. And so, yeah, you never know. I say never with a lot of these shows.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, just
go ahead.
Sorry, Brent.
No, go ahead.
Just watching WandaVision without spoiling it. I actually watched the first 5 episodes this Saturday with my son. My wife was out with my daughter. They were doing things. And I was like, oh, I just got home from teaching tennis. And I'm like, Braden, you and I are watching WandaVision right now because we've been wanting to watch it and we never had the time alone. So he's like, oh, finally. So we got to sit down. We watched the first episode and he's like, is it going to be like this every episode? He's like, this is kind of weird. I'm like, trust me. I'm like, I'm sure it's going to get better. And then at the end of that first episode, he was like, oh, there it is. And I'm like, yeah. And I was just like, And then I noticed the little things already, like at the end of that first episode, like the symbol and everything. And then I was just like, and as it, reveals itself a little bit more, you just find yourself more and more addicted to watching it. And then by the time you wind up getting to that episode 4 and then episode 5, you're just like, oh man, this is good. The way the show was crafted is absolutely amazing. So when you do get around to watching it, Kat, I think you're going to really like it.
Oh yeah, from what I've already been seeing, it looks up my alley, and this was the one I was honestly most looking forward to next, like Miss Marvel and like the She-Hulk and stuff like that. But I was really looking forward to WandaVision, and and all the twists and turns that come along with it.
Yeah, it's a fantastic show, and it's kind of become mine and Lisa's Friday night tradition. We don't get to watch a whole lot of TV together, and that's the one thing right now that we're watching. And like Mike said, it's just. It builds and builds and builds, and then it's like, oh, you get that episode 4, and it's like, okay, you see the little break in the armor there, and then 5 just like ties it all together. And then we kind of talked about the cliffhanger, the reveal of the certain character coming in without spoiling it. If anybody didn't see episode 5, definitely watch the end of that, because implications are big there. So it was really cool to see that. So.
Yeah, a lot of time, and I blew Brand's mind with one of my theories, so I was like, oh, man, that could happen. And also, it's only 30 minutes, which I love 30-minute shows. I think they're great. Yeah,
it's perfect, man. I'm just
easily digestible.
When I first saw the episode, I'm like, oh yeah, we're getting through this whole thing today. I'm like, this is nice.
Yeah.
Very easy to watch. I think more shows should be like that. And that doesn't take away, it's not a comedy. It doesn't take away from like the sophistication of the show just because it's 30 minutes or sophistication of comedy. But, it's nice. So let's get into the next thing. We'll turn into DC news here, which is some renewals, which is Legends of Tomorrow, The Flash, and Batwoman are all renewed. Stuff that haven't been renewed yet just because it just premiered was Superman, or it hasn't even premiered yet, but it's going to premiere, is Superman and Lois. So that hasn't got a renewal yet. And that Walker show with the supernatural guy hasn't been renewed. But
that Walker
show.
I thought it did get renewed, actually.
That one I don't think did yet, just because there wasn't enough episodes. So that just premiered as well. But with Legends of Tomorrow and all, I was kind of surprised, honestly, just because we've gotten a lot of cancellations, and I love Legends. As you guys know, I do a whole podcast on it. I'm very happy it got renewed, but I was like, oh, really? A 7th season? I was just surprised by it. Batwoman, I guess, you have a new character. That makes sense, but The Flash has been going on for a while. So I was surprised by that.
Yeah. Sorry, I've got a visitor.
Brand's got a visitor, so we will go back to that topic after. We'll go to some comic news pieces next. So next up, let's.
All right, I'm back.
You're
sorry.
good, okay?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm sorry. I had to answer a question. Real quick, and then we'll move on. First of all, Walker thing. It's like the revival of Walker Texas Ranger. It's just a Walker thing.
And supposedly it did get renewed. So I was wrong, but it's the Walker thing to me because I don't. Don't watch the Texas Ranger. I've never seen it.
Yeah, I've not watched it. I did watch some of the original Chuck Norris one, obviously, but I've never seen. I haven't seen this one yet. But I do like Jared Padalecki from both Gilmore Girls and Supernatural, and I also like Lindsay Morgan from The 100. So
it's more than the Walker thing for you.
Exactly.
Watch this show.
Yeah, exactly. I'm just letting it build up. I'm going to binge it eventually. But I was just real quick. I was also surprised Legends got renewed and Flash. Man, that show's going to keep going. I'm way behind on both of them, so I'm kind of surprised by it. But whatever.
How many episodes? How many seasons are we in Flash now? Is it like 7?
7.
Yeah, 7. And then the new one hasn't even premiered yet. So there's 2 more seasons definitely for both these shows.
Right.
Yeah, that's pretty cool, man.
We do have a question from Tevia. Do you guys even watch Batwoman? I honestly don't really watch any of the CW shows. Like I've said, I don't plan on watching Superman. I only watch Legends of Tomorrow. I probably will binge Stargirl, but other than that, there are just too many seasons, and they're all the same thing. So I'm just not a fan.
I do watch them very slowly. I haven't watched any of them in quite a while, though. Not months.
No, I don't. don't watch it either. I unfortunately I just don't. I don't have time for all that TV. The only thing like I said, just watch WandaVision for the first time, and the only show that me and my wife like really watch together right now is Schitt's Creek, and that's like 6 seasons of of watching like 13 episodes of that. So, but yeah, that's about it.
Yeah, and those are comedy. That's a comedy, so it's a little easier to digest, right? I think I've told this to Brant. I think right now I'm watching freaking Hell's Kitchen. That's where my mind's at.
I watched Hell's Kitchen for years.
Yeah, I did too.
I just like, it's such a show where you just don't have to think about anything, and I just want to veg out and be called. I want to see people be called a stupid sandwich. That's where I'm at right now. That's all I need. It's fun. That's all.
Throwing food in the trash, not good enough. I mean, to start again.
The thing is with Gordon Ramsay, and yes, this is a comic podcast, but let's talk about Hell's Kitchen for a second. All the critiques he has are truthful. They're right. He has a right to yell at them, and that's it. And when he has something nice to say, he has something nice to say. Gordon Ramsay is perfect. That's all I have to say. Gordon
Ramsay is the Simon Cowell of the cooking world.
No, he's better than Simon Cowell. That's our food talk for the podcast, because we always have to have a little bit, but definitely worth for Gordon Ramsay. But we're going to get to some comics. And next up, we already knew about this title, but we finally have a release date. And we're all fans of this character, at least on this podcast. And that is Yara Flor is getting a May release, which I'm actually a little surprised that we have to wait a few months. I feel like, why do the buffer? Why not just release it right after Future State?
The only thing I can think of is that they want to get some issues taken care of and make sure it's done right. That's the only thing I can think of.
Yeah.
I feel like they should have planned early then. I guess Future State and all that was like rushed planning. So
yeah. I'm just excited for it. And I saw the Joel Jones posted one of the covers, I think today or yesterday. And it looked really cool. So I can't wait for more of Yara Flor. I've absolutely loved this 2-issue series that we got.
It's good stuff, and we'll obviously talk about that issue a bit later in the show. Yeah. So next up, we actually got a good amount of DC news about Future State in general, and we have a mini-series from Mr. Miracle, that kind of backup story from the Superman books, and Future State Jason Todd. Surprised by these picks, because I feel like these aren't the ones I would have thought. Like, they weren't the Stephanie Browns. They aren't like the Colts fan favorites.
Future State book is actually a Gotham book where the Jason Todd is a first 6-issue story arc.
Yeah. Oh, so it's an ongoing.
Yeah, it's an ongoing.
I did not know that.
Yeah, when I read the article in great detail, because I was like, when I was reading it, it didn't make sense first. It was like ongoing, but 6 issues of Jason Todd. I'm like, wait, they're saying it's an ongoing, but it's 6 issues. So I closed the article. I gave myself like a half hour. I opened it back up again and read it. And I'm like, so it's called Future State Gotham. The first 6-issue story arc is going to focus on Jason Todd in Future State, and then obviously it's going to work its way around like the other characters. So it's basically kind of like what we almost wanted. Like, it's like, oh, we want to see what Gotham is going to be like in the future, so they're making their own book of this.
That makes a lot more sense. And I'm like, okay, now I get why. And I also get why they pick Jason Todd in general. But yeah, the one that did not make sense to me was the Mr. Miracle. And I think that was a miniseries. This Mr. Miracle miniseries. I'm like, oh, is anyone really asking for that? And then also, like, Mr. Miracle, love or hate Tom King's writing, I really enjoyed Tom King's Mr. Miracle. And, you follow that with this Mr. Miracle after Future State again, that didn't really stick much. So I don't know how they're choosing these titles at all, but I guess we'll see.
Yeah, I'm not feeling either one of those backup stories in that book. So I was really surprised that the Mr. Miracle landed. I'm not as much surprised about Jason Todd getting an arc, because it's Jason Todd, right?
And it was interesting, like their story to be told there.
Right. Yeah, for sure.
So I don't know. It could be. I think it could be an overall pretty good book. I mean, it's if you are interested or invested in future state Gotham or the Magistrate and all that, you're going to want to read more of that particular story. So I think they're making a good choice on that aspect of it.
Yeah,
I'm going to give it a shot. I don't know if I could promise I will read that forever, and it'll depend on the character, but yeah, I'm curious to see how Future State's going to connect in general. Like, are they just really trying to stick things to the wall, or they're hearing the complaints of like, oh, it doesn't seem like anything's connected. So I don't know. We'll see with more announcements to come. So that's all the Future State stuff. This was kind of interesting. Comic Storian, who is a fellow YouTuber, Benny, is going to be writing a backup for Valiant, which I thought was really cool. I love Valiant. I love the people that work there, and I love that they give opportunities, especially to comic YouTubers. Yeah, I think that's great, and I hope this is not the last we see of Benny's writing.
Yeah, it's a really cool opportunity for him, and it's just cool that, like you said, that they are giving people with less experience, lesser known names in the comic world, opportunities to do that kind of thing. So I mean, that's really cool about it, and cool for him. So
and it shows you that YouTubers in the comic book world can actually make it.
Yeah,
for sure, and bring his fan base into Valiant, I'm sure as well.
Right. Of course, yeah.
So we'll see what happens with that. And then, Benny was also in the military, so it kind of makes sense that he's doing a Bloodshot book as well. So.
Yeah, I didn't know that, but yeah, that makes perfect sense.
From what I read, I think it's like 4 pages. I think that's what he's going to be doing. Yeah.
That's a good start. So we'll see where that goes. So definitely go support your fellow YouTubers. Other than that, let's see. We have Champions. There's a lot of Heroes Reborn news. It was kind of hard to cover all of it. But yeah, Champions got new looks. I think the big takeaway is that there's a lot of Marvel characters that are like taking up DC hero looks or hero stories. And that's kind of what we're seeing from Heroes Reborn right now.
Yeah, I like I always like reimagining stuff and seeing different takes. And that's kind of what this is. So it's interesting to see like, okay, why is Nova now wearing like Vision colors or whatever? It's weird. Some weird colors, yeah. It's like, and why does Miles look like the Falcon now? And
they're all mashups. So it's basically
yeah, exactly. So I think that's kind of fun and cool, and it's kind of like this giant what if story. So I'm into it, at least for now, till I read it. We'll see. Hopefully, I'll still be into it.
It'll be a different story. I mean, we'll see. It's just. We went through this route before, and I feel like this is like Marvel's go at it, like with like a Future State type of thing. But I don't know. We'll see what happens with it. I'm going to try it. Why not? I try everything else, so why not try this too?
Yeah.
I'll see what type of week it's looking like.
I'm going to share screen the costumes real quick. Oops. Let me maximize that. There we go. See my rankings there. So that's some interesting interesting matchups going on there.
So you got Carmella, she's like got this blue outfit going, and then
weird colors for Nova.
Miles, exactly.
Falcon, and then green for Sam, like totally different,
Right. Yeah, and why has Kamala got an amulet on her head? I mean, what's that mean? Was that?
Yeah, she's Vision.
Weird stuff. So. She's a Vision.
Yeah, I don't know what's. Maybe it'll be with the Infinity Stones. We'll have to see. David Bergak, did you all read Fear Case? I haven't.
No, I did not.
I didn't either.
All right. Well, we are going into the last news piece, and then we'll go into talk about our Kickstarter one last time, and then our main topic for the show. So, last news piece is that Fantastic Four is getting a Life Stories series by Chip Zdarsky. So he's done the line. I believe it's Chip Zdarsky. I actually don't want to It's Mark Russell. Chip Zdarsky did the Spider-Man one. Mark Russell is doing the Fantastic Four life story. So if you read the Spider-Man life story before, which we all really enjoyed here, they're doing a Fantastic Four version, which I'm really looking forward to. I really like the original. I like Mark Russell's writing for the most part. There's some DC stuff where it kind of went over my head, but it got a little too complicated for me. But I love Second Coming. I think that's a great book, and I do like a lot of his writing. So I'm curious to see what he's going to do here.
I like the idea of the story. I'm not as taken with Mark Russell's writing, so I'm a little nervous about it.
See, if Chip Zdarsky did the Fantastic Four life story, then I would be like, oh yeah, we got this before from him, but with Spider-Man. So I would love to see what he would do with Fantastic Four. But again, you never know. It could be good. And
I want to see the twists. I want to see what's going to be, because we also had like Ultimate Fantastic Four, and there were so many twists in that. So like, what's going to change in this? But Chip is doing a lot in DC right now, as we've seen. Like, he has this new Justice League miniseries as well. So yeah, he has obviously Stillwater. I agree. It would have been nice to see that. We do have a Tevye Axe. Would you like to see an X-Men life story? Yeah, I mean, I think that'd be cool, but it's hard because like, what characters do you focus on?
Right.
They've done so many of them. Yeah, there's so many of the characters, but they've also done like the history lessons of the X-Men already. Like, they had that book a couple of years ago, which obviously was really different. It was like from the writer of Hip Hop Family Tree, but still, like, we've seen it before. Fantastic Four, we haven't seen it, or Spider-Man we have, but I thought they did it different enough.
Yeah, and then like, not tomorrow, but next week's comics, we're getting that new classic series that's getting ready to come out.
Yeah, true. And that's by classic creators too, I believe. So
right. It's oh my god, it's just looking. What is it? X-Men Legends. Yeah, X-Men Legends. And then we talked about last week with the artwork from Brett Booth. Brett Booth is going to be doing the artwork for this.
Oh, nice. So, that makes sense too.
So yeah, that's going to be actually really cool. So I'm excited about that. And you know, when you get something like that, that's pretty neat because it's taking place in between certain stories and things like that. So I think in many ways that's actually better.
So that is all the news pieces. We are going to talk about our Kickstarter one last time because we only have 2 more days left. And I actually forgot to put the banner on. So let me get the banner of everyone's contributed to the Kickstarter, and I'll get the link. So Brant, if you want to explain one last time what our Kickstarter is all about.
Yeah, so this is our Kickstarter to fund an audio version of this very podcast, this live show, for season 1. That's going to air March through June, 18 episodes worth of content there. And we're raising funds for hosting fees and to hire an editor to clean it up, put some music, do all that kind of stuff. We were funded in 4 days, so we are funded. And the campaign's gone really well. We have, like Cass said, less than 48 hours to go. We are actually 1 backer away from our first stretch goal, which is a backer goal of 75 backers. And there's all kinds of cool opportunities to be part of the show, whether it's recommending a comic or graphic novel for us to discuss, which some people have taken us up on, and we're seeing some cool stuff come in, so that's really nice. And there's opportunities to be on the show or to sponsor an episode, or you can just get a custom flash drive with our logo on it, stickers, emoji packs, and a cool print that we're all going to sign, all 4 of us, including Chris. We're all going to sign for you guys if you want that. So all kinds of cool stuff. And you got till Thursday at 8 p.m. I think it's Eastern. It's either Eastern or Central. I can't remember. Around 8 p.m. To back it. And we hope you do. So we can reach some of those stretch goals that we have up there on the page, which we released, was it yesterday or the day before? One of those.
I think it was yesterday, but honestly, just like one of our commenters said, who knows what day it is anymore?
Yeah, I know, right?
I agree with you. Yes, so that's the Kickstarter. Definitely go check it out, and we'll stop talking about it after this show because it'll be done. So hopefully, you guys could go support it. And yeah, we're gonna talk about the main topic now, which was Avengers. Believe it or not, the book I think last week Brant, or maybe it was 2 weeks ago, again, who knows what time it is anymore, Brant and Mike said they weren't going to read it anymore.
Yeah.
And then that Wednesday I said, guys, I think you have to read it because I heard something big happened in it, and I'll read it too. So I read it, and I said, the last 2 pages is what we should talk about. So here we are. The last 2 pages, spoiler alert, was that Phoenix is Thor's mom. So that was revealed.
Yeah.
That I don't know if I care.
You got to look at it. It's like it's gonna. If it is, then it changes everything that you know about the character, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
that's a huge thing. Now, I do remember Brant when we read that Prelude issue, right? She went to Odin at the end of it. So. And we didn't think anything of it then.
I mean, I won't say I didn't completely. I didn't think about it at all because it actually did cross my mind. It's like, oh, what if they hooked up? Yeah, I didn't really think it's like, oh, this is Thor's mama. But I definitely thought, okay, Odin and Phoenix are hooking up. What could this mean? Is there, honestly, what I thought is maybe there's a third sibling. You got Thor and Loki. Maybe there's a third one out there, and that's going to come in aside from Angela. But yeah, so it's interesting where they're going to go from here and what that means. And if it is, in fact, true, what does that mean for Freya? Because now she's not Loki's or Thor's mom.
Oh, God.
She's just hanging around,
Yeah.
But then does Thor have powers?
That he
doesn't
like
even
Phoenix
know
powers.
of.
Is he the new Phoenix?
Like,
or is she lying?
She could be lying. Yeah.
I mean, I think it's hard. It's hard because there's so much going on in the Thor comic. We had him die in King in Black, and now we have this Phoenix story with Thor. Like, none of this is connected. I'm like, yeah, where are we going with Thor? It just seems like everything's happening to Thor.
Yeah, that's true.
I think Jason Aaron has just been like in his own little world doing his own little thing, and it's like, who cares? Like, same with like with She-Hulk. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not even. Nothing for nothing, but Jennifer Walters in this as a Phoenix, like, doesn't even look like her. It doesn't even look like a female. It looks like a man. It looks like Hulk in himself.
Yeah.
And it's just like, well, that's interesting. And I think like was it Jane Foster and her going to fight against each other?
Yeah.
So I was just like, that's a cool battle, but that doesn't even look like her.
As someone who hasn't read Avengers since issue 1, I didn't hate this issue. I thought it was like, okay, it was cool to kind of, like you said, like see the different verse battles. But yeah, like, what does it all mean? And I don't know. Does Heroes Reborn matter? I hate saying that. I just kind of tired of those events.
Did you ever read an issue so much of where they're supposed to be fighting and they just stand around and talking?
That is true. It made it feel like they were fighting though, like because they had such cool, for somewhat cool designs. Because like, oh, they're phoenixes. Why is everyone a phoenix anyways? That reading from the middle was a little confusing for me.
They're all inside the Phoenix Force. They're not actually that. So it's all happening in their heads basically. Wolverine is so out of character in this book too, by the way. It's just like, he's like, you've taken enough from us. You're not taking the Phoenix. It's like, the X-Men hate the Phoenix. What does that even mean?
Like, please take it.
Yeah.
It's so ridiculous. And then again, with that fighting, and it's like, okay, are we gonna fight?
Next issue, maybe.
I'm gonna take you. And it's like, you're reading it, and it's like 35 minutes go by and they're still doing this.
They're friends. They don't want to fight each other. They just want to stare at each other. They think each other look pretty, and that's the fight.
Except Namor, he'll fight anybody.
Namor will fight anybody.
Yeah.
It was a weird issue. He always does. He was the thing is this, and I hate comparing it, but this feels so recycled, and I hate using that word because it is thrown a lot for comics, but Avengers vs. X-Men, man, same thing. This is like literally almost the same story besides, Phoenix might be Thor's mom now. It's like, okay.
This is a lot worse. This is a lot. This is a lot worse. I didn't say, I don't want to say really, but I did like Avengers versus X-Men. I felt like there was it was just a better story. And it felt like there was a little bit more heart and emotion in that book. And I found it interesting on like, you know, how they each possessed part of the Phoenix and they gave them just a fraction of the power, where this is just like again, it's just worthless standing around and fighting. And then some panels, there's so little detail to artwork. It's just plain white background. Like that, that's your background in many of those panels. And I just feel like it's just something that was just slapped together to lead into Heroes Reborn. That's what I just feel like it is. And then you throw in this whole Thor thing, and it could be just a coy. It just could be it's a cliffhanger, and then it doesn't mean anything at the end.
Yeah, it definitely feels like a vehicle just to get the Phoenix involved in all this too. It's like, okay, so we still don't know how Heroes Reborn comes about. Like, is it Franklin again? Is it the Phoenix now? What is going on? What is everybody's role in this whole thing, and how has it come about? And yeah, it feels like a bit of a stall tactic to get to there, just like Future State was over at DC. So it's I don't know. The story could have been a little bit stronger, but throwing a curveball with Phoenix possibly being Thor's mom is interesting to say the least, even if you're not enjoying the story.
Yeah. I don't know. We're gonna see what happens. I think it's one more issue now to go before we get the whole Heroes Reborn.
I don't even know. I'm so lost when Heroes Reborn is happening. I think because I just don't care as much. We do have a lot of donations. Thank you guys so much.
Yeah, thank you.
He donated. We also had who else had donated? No, Comics for Fun. Sorry, also donated. So thank you guys so much for all the donations.
Thanks, guys.
And we've unlocked our first stretch goal, so thank you for that.
Yeah, thank you guys so much. Yeah, again, 2 more days to support.
Really helps the show, and you know, it could even help this version of the show as well, the too. So thank you so much for that.
If you guys like the show, definitely that is the best way to support us. So that is our main topic. Well, I think the best answer, we'll see where all that goes. But we're going to go into Under the Radar, so I'm going to pass it on to Mike.
All right, guys. So yes, it's time to talk about some comics. So hopefully you guys will stick with us during this time. It is spoiler time. So if you haven't read your comics, you might want to read them and then come back and watch this on the post live. But we're going to talk about Under the Radar. This is the book that might not get the recognition that it deserves until we talk about it. So the first one I'm going to hand it over to is Kat, and she has Harley Quinn in the Birds of Prey issue 4.
Surprising, because honestly, I wasn't going to read this book at all, but I did an article about Poison Ivy and Harley Quinn where I said, hey, like, we haven't really gotten a mention of them being girlfriends, like, at all. So I wrote a whole article about it. And then Jimmy Palmiotti said, I wish you posted this, like, 2 days later because read Birds of Prey issue 4. I'm like, okay. Yeah. So I read Birds of Prey issue 4. I'm like, okay. You were right on that. So yeah, the thing is Black Label. So it's kind of all out of universe. So the article is not null and void, obviously, because it doesn't really affect the main universe from what I'm seeing, but it was cool to see their story. We do get to see them together. I think dialogue could have been a little better between them. I think they kind of went overly ooey gooey with them, but it still was nice to see it. It was classic humor from Jimmy Palmiotti and Amanda Conner. If you enjoyed Harley Quinn, which I was always on and off with the Jimmy Palmiotti run, but if you enjoyed Power Girl, stuff like that, you'll probably have a fun time with this. I don't necessarily think it made me want to read issue 2 and 3, but I'm still happy I read issue 4.
Cool. That's cool. I'm glad you liked it. Not me. I'm not reading it. So
yeah, I don't think it's a necessarily you have to read book, but it's something maybe people didn't hear of. So that's why it's under the radar.
Gotcha. All right, Brant. So you have Spectre Inspectors issue 1.
Yeah. So. Weird name, but yeah, it was a fun book. I enjoyed it. I didn't really know what to expect with it, but it's basically these group of young people who are basically ghost hunters, and they go out and do the whole thing, and they're at this haunted house, and something real happens. It's the first real thing that they've actually caught, and it happens to one of them, and now they can't leave this town, and they're stuck there, and now they have to kind of make a deal with this thing to be able to free their friend and get out. So it has some interesting twists to it. Very much still slice of life, which is what Boom does very well, and fun art, and it was just a fun book, and it took me in a place I didn't expect. So
very cool. That's awesome. And then mine was Avengers Mech Strike issue 1.
You were looking forward to that one, so
yeah. Well, I was kind of like, it's either going to be really dumb or it's going to be really fun.
Right.
And luckily, it was a fun issue. And this is how I want to read an Avengers book. This reminded me of Avengers. There's a threat coming to the world, and they got to stop it, right? And all of the character interactions were really good, and it was quite humorous. It actually reminded me a little bit of like the Marvel movies in many ways. Spider-Man, jokes around nervously in the actual book. You get Tony Stark, who's just kind of like that wise ass type of character, and they're trying to investigate what's going on. And it's a real simple plot where you got this big gigantic beast that they got to try to stop, but no matter what they do, they kind of can't stop it. It absorbs energy, it eats land mass, it gets bigger and bigger. By accident, they wound up destroying it, and they wound up finding out that there's these boxes that they don't know who created them, but when at one point in time they start forming bodies and becoming monsters and stuff like that. So the only way to stop them is to build these mechs that are made out of vibranium. And so the mechs that they create were the mechs that you saw on the cover. And Spider-Man makes this hilarious comment. He's just like, dude, this just all went down. How did you build these mechs so fast? And Tony's like, well, some of you guys paint, play golf. He's like, I just build robots for fun. And so he had those robots there. So it was a great issue. And the artwork in the book was actually outstanding. I really enjoyed it, and it was just a pleasant surprise. And this is an Avengers book, unlike the one we just read.
It's always nice getting an Avengers book since it's been like 40-something issues of the current Avengers run.
Oh, God, maybe longer. I haven't. This was the best Avengers book I read in such a long time. And I don't think a lot of people may have given this a try. You know what I'm saying? You look at the cover and you're kind of like, oh, this looks like it's a little kid book. But it's not, man. It's good. All right. So with that being said, now we're going to go on to some of the big books of the week. And the first one we're going to be talking about is The Next Batman, issue 3. I did not like this book.
I don't really.
I don't remember what happened in it.
Exactly. See, it's so forgettable.
Yeah, now I remember.
It's like Batman tries to rescue these people, and he's like, "You gotta heal me. You gotta cauterize my wound with this torch." Or with and they do that, and he spends all his time trying to help him, and then at the end, he's like, they betray him, and they put a baseball bat to his side, and they try to strangle him. These are two normal people, and in fact, it's only one guy that's doing this, and they basically have the next Batman on the ropes there. I hated the way that book ended, and it was just too much of nothing going on in a 4-issue story for this to make any sense, to make it a good book for me.
I thought it was okay. And I do agree. I don't think a lot happens. I hope the miniseries after this is better because I want to like Tim, but I just feel like it's very slow. I didn't like the Arkham Knight story. That was really not great for me. And then The Outsiders was okay. I thought it was like cool to see the whole Black Lightning sword thing. I thought that was interesting. But yeah, overall, just forgettable because obviously I'm like, what happened? I was like, what happened in that issue? I don't remember.
Expect something more.
Yeah, and I agree about the lead story and about Arkham Knights, but I really like the outsider story in this one, which it was much better than the first installment of it.
I agree with that.
Yeah, the Black Lightning stuff I thought was cool too. So, but yeah, no, I agree. That main story was kind of forgettable, and I didn't like that two normal people just got the drop on Batman either. So,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
it's just not. Unfortunately, it's not worth the price that you pay for this book. You know, when you're paying, what is this, $8 book or $6 book?
It's $9.
$9.
Well,
So
I got the variant. I got the variant. So
you guys. So okay. So you get 3 stories in it, but you want something more. You know what I'm saying? For that price, you got to be putting out some good quality content. I just feel like there's just not enough going on in that main Batman story. At least get, balls to the walls action when it comes to that Batman story to really make you like Tim as that next Batman. And I don't think it delivered there.
Yeah, I agree with that.
So, but we'll see what happens with the final. The next one is the final issue, right? The issue 4.
Yeah. Until the mini series thing going on, I guess.
All right. And then the next book we're going to talk about is the book that Brent and I read. And this was Beast Wars issue 1. So, Brent, what do you think? I'm going to ask you first before I give you my opinion.
Okay. I don't know how I feel about this book, honestly. It wasn't as good as I'd hoped it would be. But I think it's got some promise. I think once so the art for the animal versions, once we got to that, wasn't as strong as I would have liked either. So I'm kind of nervous about that, but I did like the way that they got there and why they had to become animals and that kind of thing. So it definitely had the spirit of the original while it took on a life of its own kind of. Mm-hmm. But it also still falls into that same trap that all Transformers books do, where you have a lot of characters talking a lot. And it's hard to keep track of all that. And I don't know why they can't just distill it down to the core group that you need for that story instead of trying to put so much in these books. But
yeah, I felt that this book was obviously very predictable.
Yeah,
you obviously know what was going to happen, right? So I found myself a little bit bored with it. I didn't like the artwork, actually. Yeah. I thought when they got to Earth and once they got to their animal forms on both sides, it would not look like the way that they did. They made them look way too cartoony.
Yeah, exactly.
Where when you watched Beast Wars when you were younger, right, it was obviously a CGI show, and you kind of are looking more in that. You're looking for more of artwork like that. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And that's where it let me down a little bit. So I'm hoping that maybe the next issue gets better, and I'm going to try it. But if it doesn't, then I'll probably drop it, unfortunately.
Yeah, same. I saw that comment about the bat. I kind of liked that they used that because the original toy for Optimus Primal was a bat. It wasn't an ape. Then they changed it. So it was kind of a nod to the toy line. The area. Obviously, he was always an ape in the show, but yeah, I appreciated that. Again, it was a nod to the past with putting your own spin on it. So I can appreciate that. But I completely agree with you on the art, and I'm right there with you. If it doesn't improve next issue, I'll probably drop it as well.
Right. I hate to say this, but I was disappointed with a lot of books this week. I really, really was. I thought there was I think my top 5 are really solid books, but I think out of the majority of the books that I read, it just was not a solid week for me. I think I read like 21 books too.
I have a lot of weeks like that. This week, luckily, wasn't one of them, but I only read 11 books. I'm sure if I read more, I feel differently. But there has been weeks, especially like with the Future State books, where I gave 1 star, then a 1.5 star, and then a 2-star book, and I'm like, man, when does it get better?
Yeah, I'm kind of in between. I actually read like 23 books, but I didn't feel as bad about a lot of them as you did, Mike. So, a lot of them are middle of the road. But
I also didn't hate Marauders as much as Mike did.
Yeah, I didn't either. There's only one book I was like really, really like down on, but
I only disliked one book. Marauders, like I took it for what it was. Like I enjoyed the aspect that they tried helping humans. Like I enjoyed that because we haven't seen that.
There was one page that I liked. Actually, there was one panel that I liked when the guys were like, "Hey, are you even going to leave us some water?" And then Iceman's like,
the ice cubes.
Ice cubes. He's like, see how many you can carry. Like that was the best part of the book for me. You know what I'm saying?
That was a good part.
I just felt like it was just a book that was just. It should not have been. It should not have existed in the King in Black.
Oh yeah, no, I don't even know how it tied in at all.
That's what I mean by it. It was a waste of time.
They
made it a new #1 issue just for that.
Yeah, and I mean they could have done that within the series. I agree with you on that. I mean the tie-in was they were on their way to try to rescue Storm and got sidetracked. That's basically what happened. But
when they made their symbiotic dragons, they were like bats. They're like all flying around one little boat, and it's like they're not 2 inches tall. They can't be like 20 of them falling around one single boat when one is supposed to be this gigantic beast. And then they sent poor Lockheed up there to try to defeat it, and he's just like, hey, whatever, I'm gonna beat your ass. There's no way we can just beat 20 symbiotic dragons. It just was not. It wasn't right. It just didn't fit the scope of what King in Black actually is.
Yeah, I guess I'm like Kat, where I like the Marauders aspect of it, and not so much the King in Black part. Yeah.
I kind of looked over the King in Black part because I haven't been as invested in the event. So I was like, oh, I'm reading this because I want to read about Kitty and Emma and the rest of the crew.
That's the way I felt too. But I understand where you're coming from, Mike.
Right. I mean, I just wanted to see Kitty and all of those characters deal with the situation that was at hand.
Yeah.
Right. And it focused more on the rescuing the people, which is all great, fantastic. You can do that in your own series. You don't have to label it King in Black and make people buy this saying that this is a tie-in when really in all reality it's not. And I think that's what frustrated me more about it more than anything. And there's only really one other book that really has done that, and that's Namor so far.
Yeah. I see both points. Yeah, I agree. This would have been a fine story if it was within the main book, but pulling it out, making it a one shot, it should have been more tied into the event. Yeah.
Right. Okay. So we got off a track there. So, well, we already talked about Avengers. So that kind of took the filler right there.
Yeah. It did, and I don't think it was even in the big books, Marauders. So I don't know if we would have talked about it. It's not my top 5. So
No.
All right. So then let's move on to the top 5 with our number 5. And Brian, what was your number 5 this week?
My number 5 was Firepower. Number 8? Yeah, it was good. Not the strongest issue of the series so far, but I love the family stuff and how they bond over this tragic thing that is happening to them. They're going on the run, and the conversation that Owen had with his partner was really interesting. That was one of my favorite parts of the issue too, and how he was just like admits that he's jealous of him, and now he's got to be super jealous because he's a superhero too. So I mean, it was a fun issue, and the whole fight scene on a plane, and then it's like, what happened? How's he going to survive this? And so another fun issue.
There's no secret identities in this book, which is something I really like. But I agree, it was a very point A to point B issue, but a lot of fun character moments, which is what this book does really well.
This kicked off the new story arc, right? Or was this?
I don't even know.
I don't know.
Has a trade even come out for this book yet? I'm not even sure. Well, the graphic novel did, but I'm not sure.
No, but I've actually got it. Volume 1.
So that would have been the first arc. So I'm guessing we're in the second arc still. We'll find out what's in Volume 1. What's it? How many? Tell us what issues are in there.
This is, what is it? Issues 1 through 6.
So what issue are we on? 7?
8.
8. This is the second issue, the second arc.
Second issue.
Okay. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it too, man. I want to see how he survives that fall. Like, who's going to randomly catch him and be like, "Hey, guys, you're okay."
He might use his fire power somehow. Like, I know you guys have never seen Avatar or Korra, but there's like fire bending, and they could kind of like fly with that. So maybe.
I've seen Avatar and Korra, actually.
Oh, you've seen both of them?
Just not a lot. Just like I've seen a couple episodes of Korra and a handful of Avatar.
Good stuff, and that's what I'm thinking. Like fire bending, maybe flying somehow. Yeah. But he only does fireballs, so but maybe it's called fire power. There's got to be fire.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe he becomes a Human Torch mid-flight, and just. Yeah.
I hope so. It becomes a new book. Maybe no martial arts anymore.
Makes his way and goes, "Hey, man, what's up?"
You know what? I hope that's the next issue. Either way, I love this book, but I do agree this is probably the weakest of the bunch. But it's not a weak issue. Yeah. It's hard to say that, but it's not like a bad issue.
Just a lot happened. I think that's the situation there.
Yeah.
All right. So, Kat, what's yours? What's your number 5?
Mine is Harley Quinn and Birds of Prey. So we already talked about it.
Cool. And my number 5 was a book we already talked about as well, and that was Avengers Mech Strike. So we'll move along, and we'll talk about, I'm sure, a book we all loved, and probably the bright spot of DC Future State, and that is Future State Wonder Woman issue 2. This was a great issue. This was actually better than the first issue, in my opinion.
I agree. I just didn't like the ending. That's my only disappointment. It was like everything was
panels.
Yeah, it's like she had this whole trauma that she was going through.
And then she starts laughing. Yeah.
Yeah, and just like you had to wrap it. I get you have to wrap up the book, but it's just like let her sit with that. Like what? Yeah. I didn't like the wrap up, but I liked learning more about her.
Yeah.
Yeah, like just let it end with her being sad.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I have to be happy.
Right. Yeah, we didn't need that. It was too abrupt. I completely agree with that. But man, the emotion and the art. I mean, the emotion and what she's going through throughout the entire issue is good enough on its own. But then the expressive art in this book is just next level. Yeah, it's beautiful.
It's beautiful.
Well, what's really nice about this book is that the writer and artist is the same person.
Right.
So I think that's really why it goes leaps and bounds because of that.
Yeah, I agree with that as well. I love her personality. I said that with the first issue. There's just something about the character of Yara Flor that just I don't know, it resonates with me. I just love her personality. She's spunky and impatient, but fun at the same time, and faced with all these she's in the underworld dealing with Hades, and she's just like doing thumb tricks.
Yeah, she don't care. When I saw that, I was just like, "You gotta be kidding me! Like this just actually happened?" I had to take a double take. I'm like, "Is she's doing one of these things?" Yeah. I'm like, "It's so funny, man."
And the dialogue too. I was telling Lisa, I was reading it like I was reading it. So I was like, she's literally going like, yeah. Okay, you didn't get it. I'll do it again. This is awesome.
I feel like she's so different. I've never really seen a character like her, which is so rare when you have a new character, especially something that's coming out of an event. But it's hard to compare her to anything, especially because the Wonder Woman characters definitely don't act like that. None of them do.
That's what's refreshing about her. Is she's completely different, and I love that.
It's like she's like you said, Brant. She's spunky. She's charismatic. She's she's very hilarious, but she doesn't take any shit from anybody. She's strong. It's kind of like how women are today. You know what I'm saying? They don't take shit from anybody. This is what I like about that character. She's a strong female woman, and she hits on all cylinders. I mean, she's a beautiful character.
And I think a big positive for that too is that, again, drawn and written by a woman, and you don't get to see that as often for when a character's created, which is so weird to say. Usually like a man like creates the character is like, okay, now a woman can take it over. So it's like now we have to. So I do think it's interesting, like a woman again drew it and wrote it and created the character. I don't know if she actually, I'm sure DC created the character, but at least like she fleshed out the character.
Yeah, she put her fingerprint on it for sure. It's interesting too, because now you have all these different personalities of Wonder Woman. You've got, Diana, who is very much the weight of the world is on my shoulders. Mm-hmm. And then you got, Cassie, who is not always so sure of herself and doesn't know where she fits. And, Donna's just headstrong. And now you have Yara and then, also Nubia, but we don't know a whole lot about her yet. So you got all kinds of layers to Wonder Woman now that it's kind of crazy. There's a Wonder Woman for every kind of fan, so it's cool.
But we should have a Wonder Woman book, as a family book, right?
Yeah.
I never thought in this world, like if you would tell the average person, "Hey, did you know there's like 5 or 6 Wonder Women out there?" They'd be like, "What? What are you talking about?"
Yeah.
They only knew comics.
I hope she stays around a long time. I really do.
She has that TV show coming out, so I think they're going to really try pushing her as much as possible, unless the show does badly. But I think if they convert and transition and as much as they made for the comic into the show, I don't see it doing badly.
Yeah, as long as they cast it right and have good writing behind it.
Yeah.
So.
All right, cool. So, again, that's the bright spot out of Future State for me, man. I love that book, and I love that character. And it's funny how everybody right from the start, though, was like, this is going to be the Wonder Woman that we're going to like. And it's funny, man.
I'm happy about it because it's interesting because I think they put so much weight into Tim Fox as well because I think they also wanted Tim Fox to really explode, which I wish he did. I think he's an important character that should explode and great representation, but because his story has been so slow and also shared with other characters and other stories, it's been harder to get into him. But with Yara, she was in that team book, and then her story was only her and it had just enough room to tell her story. So
right, and I think that's what Tim's story should have been about. It should have been just him, nobody else. If you want people to buy this book, you put him in the book alone. You charge $3.99 for it, and that's it. His story and her story, for me, are night and day.
Yeah.
That Batman should be just like that Wonder Woman. And it's not.
Yeah, that Batman was better when he teamed up with Nightwing than he is in his main story.
Yeah, I agree.
And that's such a shame too, because you have a writer like John Ridley writing him, who wrote, he's an Oscar winner. So I just feel like they didn't get, DC didn't give him enough room, and that's such a shame. I feel like you could really tell that there was parameters he had to work with to tell that story.
Yeah.
All right, cool. So that was that one. So that was a good conversation. So Brant, you and I read Star Wars High Republic.
Yeah. So you dropped off. Well, first you dropped off last week before I could ask you how you liked issue 1. So I'm curious.
I liked issue 1. I liked issue 1 better than issue 2. But I did like it, and I liked kind of seeing the start of, I guess, the whole Star Wars universe, because that's what they claim this is. Yeah. So you can kind of do anything. It's open-ended at this point, which I think is kind of cool. I do find it's a little confusing with the characters because their names are very similar. Like the new Jedi Knight, what's her name? Is it Keith?
I was trying to remember. I don't. Yeah, it's something like that, though. Yeah.
Right. And then the Master, his name is similar. Then in issue 2, you got introduced to the twins.
Yeah.
And their names are the same, and you can't tell them apart. So it's a little confusing on the character end, but I think the story is pretty good. I just want to see this issue this series 6 or 7 issues from now. Where are they going to go with this?
Yeah, I agree. And with this issue, I mean, the first issue, we learned a lot about that new Jedi. whatever her name is, Kieves, I think it was something like that. I agree, but it was like focused on the Jedi, and then this one it kind of branched out and like covered more of the characters, but she went into the background. And you didn't see a whole lot about her, and then it's like, okay, well, this is a completely different story now. And I get you're trying to develop, why he, which I think his name is Skier or something like that.
Yeah, see, it's
yeah,
all similar, yeah,
right. Focus on why he's changing, dealing with this trauma of this attack that cost him his arm and all that kind of stuff. Where last issue it seemed like, okay, maybe he's going down that dark path, and in this issue he's obviously hiding something, but that all gets sidetracked because they have to deal with this other threat going on, and it was a little bit more all over the place with this issue, but it was still good. It was still good, and I'm still invested. But yeah, I agree, last issue was better.
Yeah, absolutely, I agree. I mean, this series definitely has potential. This series could unlock a lot of stuff going forward for the Star Wars universe. So I definitely want to see where it goes. But it's just one of those things where it's like, is this dude gonna go down the Darth, become like the first Darth Vader or something like that? Like, what's gonna happen to him?
That's what I want to know. Is like, are there Sith yet? And if not, is he the first, or is there a master out there and he's going to be their apprentice? Or so many unanswered questions that I want to know. So
so it's like you're gonna have to like tough it out for a little while to get to where you want it to get to.
Right.
So all right.
We do have some questions in the comments.
Sure.
I'm going to answer those. Jimmy asks me, how is like Twilight Daughter She's 7 coming along? Good. I just got pages from Brant, so that was good.
Right before the show.
Yeah, it's pretty much done. So I just have to kind of put the issue together, and then we just have a couple of things we have to do for the print version. But I mean, I guess you could hear it here, but the PDF should be going out tomorrow or Thursday, depending how busy I am tomorrow, because Wednesdays are usually crazy. But I would say tomorrow or Thursday that should be going up. And I don't think there'll be any roadblocks for that. Again, everything's pretty much handed in for that. So yeah, very soon we'll get the printed copies. After I get the stuff I need for the printed version of the comic, I'll be sending it to our printer, and they're usually pretty quick. So expect your books really soon for that, which I'm excited for. And then we also have Terry who asks, well, first he says that Future State books are too expensive. I 100% agree with that. I could not get all those printed. I got some digital because the printed version for the cover price, if you get the cover B, is actually more expensive. So that's a lot of hole in your pocket. It's kind of nice to buy them digitally, and also not to keep them in your collection. It's kind of hard to have all those books for me, but especially since I enjoy a lot of them. So I definitely read some of those digitally. Are you all looking forward to Joker comic though? That was the comment. Looking forward to, I don't want to say a strong word because I do like James Tynion's run of Batman. I guess so. I'm looking forward to it. Yeah. I don't know if I'm excited yet, but I am looking forward to it.
Yeah.
I am. No, so go ahead, Brent.
No, I was just gonna say I'm not excited like you said. I actually forgot about it.
It'll be, I'll try it and see what it's like. I mean, I'm not excited about a Joker comic too much because it's like, again, I feel like they're trying to make Joker like Venom. You know what I'm saying? It's just like Venom was the main bad guy for Spider-Man, so now it's like, we had to come up with a series for Venom, and now it's like, oh, well, look at Joker. Joker's the main bad guy for Batman, so now we got to make an ongoing for him. And I just think the difference, if you say the difference between the two characters, one has become a hero, Joker's still going to remain the villain. If you see too much of one villain, you're going to get bored of that villain, right? So it's like, I don't know if I want to see an ongoing book of him.
I'm happy that it's more like it's also about Jim Gordon. I'm hoping that's like kind of the saving grace in the regard of what you were saying. Like, he is a villain. How much do you want to see of it? It's like if you had a Lex Luthor book. So yeah, I think hopefully they focus a lot on Jim. I'm
going to go back to that question or that comment you just popped up, Kat, the High Republic one. Okay. So I wasn't aware of that. So thank you for informing me. I didn't know that exactly when High Republic took place. I just knew it
cool.
was. Yeah, so that's cool.
And we got Mike Knight, who says definitely checking out the Joker, Tynion, and G. Marsh is a great team. Actually, not a huge fan of Marsh's artwork, so that's also a little what I'm.
I don't know what it looks like.
He's done
remember.
Batman.
Okay.
He's done it. What are you gonna
is it Gillum? Is that his first name?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So going back to the price of those comics, Kat, like you said, like, so for DC Comics now, of course, going forward, all their cardstock variants are going to be $1 more.
Yeah,
so
which is, they're always better too. It's just like
right. So it's like no matter what now, they're always going to be $1 extra if you want that variant cover. So, you know, sometimes cooler cover is worth it to me for $1, I guess.
Oh yeah, I agree, because you have in your collection, like, I'll go for the extra $1, but it does suck because, like, if you get, say, like 3 card covers, then you might be losing out on an indie comic you could have gotten and try out another book.
Absolutely.
I'm fine with March's art. It depends on the colorist, because some of these, the coloring kind of brings it down a little bit. So
I feel like there's just so much line work on their face. Like, there's so many lines, and I'm not a huge fan of that.
Yeah.
I guess it's horror related.
All right. So we talked about our High Republic, so we're going to move on to number 4. And Kat, what was your number 4?
Mine was Wonder Woman, so we already talked about it.
I am Brant.
Mine is actually Venom, number 33. This was a much stronger issue than we have been getting through this whole event for Venom. The whole thing with Spidey talking with Dylan, that whole thing. Yeah, exactly. So you got that whole speech, and then Dylan just like, I gotta hurt something. So I was like, okay, this is definitely Eddie's kid. And then Eddie and Flash, and have that big moment between the two of them, and the pep talk, and him sacrificing himself once again, an anti-Venom symbiote dragon flying up through there. I mean, just so many cool moments throughout this issue. I thought it was a lot of fun, and this could have been like one of the main series, like the main King of Black series issues. I thought it was that good
too.
Yeah. So
this book was really good for me too. And let me point out Ryan Stegman's artwork in this issue.
Yeah.
Like, this for me was the best artwork he provided between King in Black and the Venom series so far. Just with the 2-page spread with Dylan, the symbiotic dragon, that was really cool. Facial expressions, panelings, the layouts, just everything about it. The colors, super bright and vibrant.
Mm-hmm.
The story was very touching with Eddie and Flash, like you had already said, and it's great to see Flash, even though if he was nothing, but if he's back in the fight again,
right.
They said if they become part of the symbiote, that they come back. So does this mean that Flash is going to come back now?
I think it's possible. Yeah.
Right? So I don't know. And then the end of the issue was really good.
Yeah.
Because he took over, Noel took over Rex, and he's just like, oh, isn't this position very familiar, And it was so good. I really love this. I didn't expect it to be as good as it was because of just the previous issues.
Yeah, for sure. I was a little nervous about it. It's like, Venom, got to get through it though. But it was really good, really solid issue.
Absolutely. So, Kat probably would have liked this issue if she read this one.
Yeah, I probably would have because of the Flash stuff. It sounds interesting.
The Flash was really good. I mean, probably some of the best written Flash that I've ever read when it comes to that character.
Yeah.
And it was not just a pep talk either. It was like little moments, like when the heroes were getting freed, and they did this close up of Flash, and he goes, "Go get him, Cap." And just stuff like that. It was just like little things like, oh yeah, that's Flash. All right, that's cool.
He's going to save the day, and it's like typical Flash. Like when he was a football player, he's like, "It's time for my Hail Mary," as his hand came off, and he throws the grenade, last second, and just all those great stuff, man.
Maybe that's the end of the Venom run. We'll see that Flash officially comes back. Who knows? I'm sure there'll be some big moments in that conclusion.
I'm sure.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's cool. All right. So I guess you went, Kat, right? You said yours, right?
We're up to number 4, right? I did mine. Yeah, mine was Wonder Woman.
Yeah. So we talked about it, and that was Brant. And so my number 4 was what was my number 4? It was actually Strange Academy. So Strange Academy is actually
came out again.
Getting better, man. I've been enjoying it. We've seen the Academy actually go out into this mission that they had to do in space with Groot and Rocket, which was kind of hysterical, and it did not go right whatsoever. And then we have our main character, Emily Bright, who is still dealing with kind of like the aftermath of what happened with Dormammu's son, Doyle. And we get to see Doctor Strange have a sit down with her, and he's like, "Oh, I'm sorry that this happened," and things like that. And she meets Thor for the first time, and she's just like all dumbfounded by the whole situation, which was awesome. She's like, "Wait, you're Thor?" And she's like, Doctor Strange is like, "Yeah, my student seems to be broken right now." Like, that's it, Emily. It's time to go. But great character moments. It was great to see Doyle back too, as he's getting interviewed by the school psychiatrist on how to deal it with like being dead, and he's just like, "Dude, I'm fine. Like, it's okay." So there's good character moments, and I feel like this book is starting to get better now.
Yeah. It's these past 2 issues have been really good. I agree. That it just went downhill with that swamp people thing. That's all. But just the stuff with Emily especially was good, and the, like you said, Doyle with the psychiatrist and talking about the whole Chosen One thing, and the Chosen One's gonna bring some kind of destruction or whatever, and he's like, at least it's gonna be me now and not somebody else. At least he thinks that. So I mean, I still think it's gonna be Emily, but we'll see.
Right.
There's still definitely more to her than meets the eye, and she's got something inside of her that not even Doctor Strange quite understands, which I think is really cool, and it seems like he's keeping her close because of that. So yeah, it's there's some different layers to this book that I'm enjoying.
And there's someone in that cell, remember?
Yeah, it keeps calling out. Yeah.
So and then it's just like you're just like got sidetracked because of the mission. So I was like, "Oh, that's weird. Like, what's going on there?"
Yeah, that can't be good, whatever it is.
Right,
locked up in Doctor Strange's basement, it's probably very bad.
Yep, exactly. So, all right, so let's move on. That was our number 4, right?
4.
Yeah.
Okay. So we talked about Firepower, and we already talked about Venom. So we'll move on to our number 3. Kat, give your number 3. I gotta get a drink of water.
Mine's quick, so Brent will have to go after. But mine's Firepower.
Oh, okay.
Mine's Return of the Valkyries, number 2. Not as strong as the first issue, but I liked seeing Danny back, and her whole monologue of fighting the symbiotes and not being able to basically do anything, and at what she felt like was her dying moment, her horse comes back and she's brought back into the fight, and the Valkyries are reunited. Meanwhile, the one that they rescued, which I don't know that they've actually ever said her name, or if they have, I don't remember it.
They definitely haven't said it enough for me.
Yeah,
to remember.
Right? Yeah, but she's on her own quest trying to get her axe back, so we don't really see a whole lot of her in this issue. But I guess I'm excited that the Valkyries are coming back, and they're teaming up to take on big giant symbiotic dragons in this issue.
I thought there was too many Valkyries. I'm like, it felt a little bit too disconnected for me, and maybe because I'm just like, I just want Jane. But it just felt like a little bit too much for me, this one. I like the first issue more.
Yeah, the first issue was definitely better.
I like how they went into the whole, like, they dove into the history of Null I thought that was interesting. They showed how, like, his first kill was the Celestial, and it makes sense. Like, the head of that Celestial is nowhere.
Yeah, I thought that was really interesting too. Yeah, I like that.
How they tied that. Like, they made that a thing now, where it's like, okay, that floating head, that floating Celestial, that was because of Null. So I really like that now that it really has a purpose, and how he got his sword and all that other stuff. So that's what I'm talking about, a tie-in. It tied in, like, that way. Even though, like, what happened the whole Century situation, like, you don't even see him in this issue at all.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
But I get why they are having this series, because it's like, okay, because we're getting ready to get the Valkyrie series to come out again. So that's why they're, like, pushing this on you. But
which is fine.
I like this issue too. I like the first issue better, but nevertheless, this was an entertaining issue for me.
Yeah.
I'm more excited for the next series, which I think is a mini series too. I don't know if it's ongoing. I'm not sure, but I hope this brings more people to Valkyrie though, because if people are just reading it for the King in Black tie-in, which you should, because there was a connection to Century. I hope it brings more people to the character. Not that I don't think Valkyrie was doing well before, so I don't know if she even needs it, but
yeah.
All right. So my number 3, right? Because you guys went.
Yes.
Right.
All right. So I don't know if you guys will agree with me on this one, but this made me, after reading this, I was like, okay, I'm like over Future State, because I read Man Bat and I just had a lot of fun with it.
Oh, interesting. I didn't read it, so.
I read it.
No.
I read it. But yeah, okay.
I liked it. It's a story we've seen before. Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde. Your whole world falls apart because you were this guy who's evil and you've gotten addicted to this serum. We've seen it, right? But I like the artwork. I love the transformations in it. I love how Batman was Batman and he's trying to stop Langstrom from being this creature, and I love how the creature is slowly taking over his mind, and he thinks he's being a hero, but he's just doing things in the wrong way. And I like the artwork in it. Kind of had this Batman the animated series kind of vibe to it, and I enjoyed this story. Like, for me, it was just a breath of fresh air because it was something that was familiar, and it just wasn't something that was like Future State, if that makes any sense to you whatsoever.
Yeah, I mean, I get that. I totally get that and why you would feel that way. For me, it was too familiar. I think it was, like you said, we've seen it before. This was basically a drug addict story. He's hooked to this thing. He loses his whole world, his family, his wife leaves him little by little, moving things out. It's like, okay, that's what this is. So I mean, I don't know. It's just, I felt like I had read that story many times before with this character. So.
Sure. Yeah, dude, I totally get it. Like, I totally get it. Like, I have too. But Man Bat was just a lot of fun. I had a ton of fun with it. I'm just like, I love this book, man. I'm just like, I don't know what it is. I just think I just want DC Comics back. I think that's just what it is,
Yeah, and I get that.
Just a couple more weeks on. I want like Batman back. I think that's the only one I've like seriously missed. Like I miss reading Batman.
Miss Teen Titans.
Well, we're not getting that. Well,
I know.
Academy, but after reading Future State, at Teen Titans, I'm not as excited for Academy. So
yeah,
I don't know.
We'll see.
We got Jem Mint in the house.
Yeah,
welcome back. Checks us out every week for a few minutes. That's awesome. Appreciate it.
Yeah, appreciate
seeing what we're talking about. We're talking about some Man Bat. I didn't think I would like it though, to tell you the truth.
Yeah.
I didn't even know you were gonna pick it up, so that surprised me more.
Well, here was my logic. My logic was, okay, if it sucks, at least it's a cool ass cover. That's what I wanted, because it is a nice looking cover. It really is.
Yeah.
So, Jem is editing his new comic reviews for tomorrow.
Oh,
there
nice.
you go. He's lucky. He gets his books early. He's able to read them.
I only get to read mine early digitally, so I'm like, nope, waiting for that physical. I will wait.
All right, so we all did our number 3, right? So that's where we were at.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm curious on what you guys think about this one. Grant's one of his panels of the week.
Or from this,
here when it comes to the Flash, Future State Flash. So I know a lot of people are dogging this particular series, but I kind of actually enjoyed this issue, and I didn't think issue 1 or 2 were all that bad. I actually had a lot of fun with it.
Go ahead, Kat.
I know you go.
Okay.
I have a different opinion. So.
Okay. No. I did not like issue 1 at all. Right. So issue 2 I thought was better. And I think I told you this, Kat. So I thought it was better, but I still hate what they've done to Wally. I appreciated another panel that almost made mine was where they showed the full spread of Barry with all the different, villains and heroes, kind of mix matched outfit. I thought that was kind of cool how he repurposed everything. And the fact that, he thought he had it figured out. He thought he had his number, and he was going in there and he ruined his, ability to be able to run, and, basically destroyed his skeletal system and all that stuff. And then the panel you're talking about is the realization that, hey, you just fell right into Famine's hands, and you just threw away one more member of your family. This is all your fault. You've done it all, and now you got to live with that guilt. And then on top of that, he's becomes basically a ghost, where he has to watch everybody he loves that's left suffer. So I mean, there was some poetic stuff going on in the issue, which I appreciated. And the art was really nice too, but I still hate what they've done with Wally in this book.
The whole demon thing, possession thing, I was not a fan of.
I know. I get it. Like, I get it, because Wally has become this person where they constantly shit on him. You know what I'm saying? But I get why fans are upset. But at the flip side of it, sometimes you just got to be like, you know what? Whatever. It is what it is. And hopefully they'll fix it.
I'm sure they will.
This is just a 2-story arc. It doesn't mean anything. Right. And when we get Infinite Frontier come out, maybe they'll readdress this and they'll fix Wally, and you'll get the Wally that you wanted. You know what I'm saying? I just wouldn't look too much into it. Just like everyone is saying, a lot of this doesn't mean anything. So
that's the disappointing thing. It's just like, what's the point of the story then? But no, I agree. I mean, for me, I'm not a hardcore Flash fan, so it's not like, oh my god, what did they do to my Wally? Like, I don't care that much. But it just wasn't an entertaining story for me. But I do agree. I think this issue was better than issue 1 for sure.
I liked how he like Brant said, like how he thought about everything. He spent all this time fixing these gadgets and trying to, beat him and whatnot. And I love that. And I love the battles, and I love the ending. And again, if you do overlook how they just crap on Wally over and over again, I didn't think it was that bad of a book, in my opinion. So, of course you can be like, well, what's the point of the story? What's the point of any of these Future State stories? Really, there really isn't. So, okay. All right. So we talked about the Flash. So curious to hear what Kat has to say about King in Black, the Gwenom vs. Carnage issue 2. What do you think about this one, Kat?
I liked it. I enjoyed it. I thought it was a bit better than the first issue, just because it actually dealt with the relationship between MJ and Gwen and the whole jealousy aspect. I thought it was solid overall. It's still not mind-blowing, and I hate that. I feel like, and we've seen this from the writer before, like real great gut-wrenching character story, and I feel like it's going through the motions. there just could be so much more that's being done, but it's just like, oh, point A to point B.
Yeah, and really the only connection with King in Black is the fact that she's a symbiote now, and it's like, I want more from this book. I think I thought it was fine, but and I like that, you know, she's realizing how far back this whole fractured relationship she has goes.
Gwen sucks, I'll say that. Like, I think it really shows that she's such a bad friend, and that was the one thing that really interested me with this issue, is that MJ's not in the wrong, honestly. Gwen really sucked.
Yeah, I mean, obviously why she is a bad friend is because of what she's going through, you know. It's like she has to be Spider Gwen or Ghost Spider or whatever she's called these days. You know, she has to, she honestly puts that first as much as she cares for her friends. And the reason why her friends are in the situation they are in is because of her, you know? So it's a tough predicament for her. But I agree with you, Kat. I thought this issue was good, but it wasn't fantastic. It was just a lot of fighting, with some crazy artwork going on inside of it, you know?
Yeah.
But I definitely like the punkness of the artwork.
That's how it
acts,
feels, right?
Yeah.
It represents cool. like their band.
Yeah, for sure.
No, yeah.
I hope issue 3 picks up. And I'm just gonna spoil this now. Somehow this did end up becoming my number 2, just because everything was very like okay. Like, this was a solid book for me. Like, I enjoyed it. But I think in another week it would have been like number 5 or something. But it did end up making my number 2.
Well, that's still good though.
We know what your number 1 is.
Well, I think we all know what my number 1 is. Except Terry, because Terry said, I'm guessing your favorite book's indie. It's like, no.
No, yeah, we know.
We'll talk about it.
All right, so Brant, what were we on, 3 or 2?
We're on number 2, I believe. Yeah.
Are we on number 2?
Okay. So Brant, what's your number 2?
I'm going back and forth between my 1 and 2 keep shifting my head, so I'm trying to.
What's your gut tell you?
Oh, you know what? I'll go with the way I listed them. Wonder Woman. Future State Wonder Woman.
Okay, interesting. Wonder what number 1 is. I hope it's a similar number 1 to mine.
my number 2, and you guys will know what my number 1 is, obviously, but my number 2 was Wonder Woman.
Nice.
And
okay.
And I honestly considered this being my number 1 book of the week. I really did. It was that good for me. But I did not expect, obviously, or I'll say it now, my number 1 is Venom. I did not expect Venom to be as good as it was, because Brant said it earlier. It was so good, it felt like it was part of the main story.
Yeah,
and that was a great.
I wish it was. That way I could have read it, but
yeah.
Maybe I'll go back to it and read it once we get to the conclusion. I guess we should do our number 1s, and then we'll do the one other big book, just because we keep teasing it. We should just talk about the number 1s.
All right. Okay. So Kat's number 1 is Runaways.
Yeah, of course. This issue was really, really good. I missed this book, and I was having a conversation with Brant last week, I think it was, where I was just like, yeah, there's just like not a lot of books on stands that are like, oh my God, I can't wait to go to the comic book store and get that book. And Runaways is one of the very few books right now where I'm just like, yes, oh my God, I can't wait to go to the comic book store and get this, because, and also tomorrow's Power Pack, because Julie's in it and she's monologuing it. But no, what I really enjoyed is that all the characters had something to do in this issue and had a really good story. So we have the Krakoa issue with Molly, and we actually find out that Molly wanted to go there, and because of, I guess, whatever is going on with the runaway, she feels like she wants to run away. We have Chase kind of happy. It looks like he's like maybe seeing a girl, but I feel like maybe it's a red herring because that's a little bit too obvious. Then we have the rest of the gang going to school. They're dealing with their issues there. But my girl Kay and my girls Kay and Nico, I love them. I thought they were great in this issue, where Carolina is dealing with being sick and after a battle and not being able to get better. And she's like, well, I can't go to the hospital. I don't know what organs I have. I can't do anything. So it's her being really, really depressed about that. And then Nico trying with all her power to really bring the family together. That's her job, not just Carolina, even though she's being a good girlfriend to Carolina. She's just trying to get everyone to school, and there's a lot of funny moments with it. And I just love this issue. I thought it was just so well balanced.
Yeah, this is actually my number one too. So be happy. Yeah, I kept going back and forth between Wonder Woman and Runaways, but anyway, yeah, all those things you said, and then just all the little moments like Doombot being like, "I shall take them to school," and Vic's like, "We can ride the bus. It's fine. We're good."
One of my battles for Nico, this one is just like, no, if you ride the bus, then everyone's going to believe no one loves you. I love you.
Yeah, just subtle little things like Gert makes a friend in school, and he happens to say hi to her at the football game, and Victor's like, just like looking at him sideways like, oh, I'm all sad now because you have another friend. And just little things like that are the hallmark of this book, I think. And then there's the whole Gibb thing where, he's like this big football star now. And, there's nothing to worry about there. But yeah, and just like the way Nico looks at Carolina when Carolina's not looking, and just like the concern that floods over her face. And it just, I love the little touches that they put in this book. So it was a really good issue. Yeah.
From art to writing, I feel like this has been such a consistent book. Even after Chris Anka left, they found an artist that was very similar to his style. So it doesn't even feel like he left. It's very, very similar. So I hope this, and I know Rainbow is also saying on Twitter, is like, we don't know if we'll get more issues, so please buy this book. Because like every 6 months, it's like, will the shoe drop? Because it's one of those books that are kind of on the borderline. So I hope people buy it. I hope that legacy issue does well, because it's just such a good book that needs to be on stands. Even if Marvel takes kind of like the boom route and just does graphic novels for this book, I think this would actually succeed more if it wasn't single issue and it was just novels.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. I mean, this could be a boom book. It's very similar. Yeah, it is. It's very similar because you get all those slice of life moments with a little bit of superhero action thrown in here and there. Like with this issue with the X-Men. So,
but see, that's how I feel with like. There's a couple books out there with Marvel that kind of feel a little bit indie to me. Like Thor is another one. Like the way the art style is, and I just feel it feels like it reminds me of God Country. Honestly, like it kind of reminds me of that. It just does. I mean, it just feels something different than what I've read in the past when it comes to Thor.
Those are the Marvel books I tend to like more, is when it just feels very different from what we've gotten before. And I hope Marvel continues to do that. And honestly, I think DC needs to start doing that. I feel like a lot of their books just feel the same superhero book over and over again. Even, characters are different, whatever, but the tone of the books are very similar. And Marvel, you got Avengers, so you got someone like that. But you do have Runaways. You do have Immortal Hulk. You do have Thor. And you have these kind of... And Hawkeye started it. I mean, Hawkeye started this kind of indie trend and mainstream. And I hope we get to see that continue. And these bigger, Marvel and DC understand how to distribute these books. DC actually has, because the YA books are very indie. So they do a lot of like YA graphic novels that are doing extremely well, but like people like us don't read it because it is a graphic novel, it's YA, but there is a lot of people reading like those Teen Titans ones, and it does so well in bookstores. And that's the sales that have been skyrocketing, is these bookstore graphic novel sales. And I think comics, if they want to survive, need to focus on that too. And not everything needs to be floppies, even though I love floppies and I want to keep it that way. But I'd rather have Runaways continue than get it canceled in a graphic novel than rely on the floppies.
Yeah.
Talk about DC doing something different. I think maybe that's why we enjoy Yara Flor so much, because she's different, and it's a character that created that we liked, And another character that I know that we liked as a group, I don't know about everybody else out there watching, we all like Sideways. And we've seen him very limited since his series ended. Like, I would love to see that character come back. I think that was a great character.
Yeah.
It felt very much like Erratic, which is interesting because I feel like Sideways was better than Erratic, at least after that second issue. We'll see how Erratic goes. But Yeah, no, I agree. Like the Sideways felt very different. It felt like its own little pocket of its universe. So we'll see if DC takes that route. I don't think they will, but well,
do you remember when New 52 was out and they had Vibe?
Yeah.
It was a good book.
That series was actually really good too.
Yeah. I thought it was very solid.
And we have not seen that character since that series ended.
Even though it became very popular on The Flash. It's like they go to TV. And maybe I hope that doesn't mean that for Yara, but yeah, when they tend to go to TVs, doesn't mean they're going to get a comic.
Yeah, that's so weird that they do it that way. I don't know.
Naomi, when are we getting that second volume? That was such a good book. I love Naomi.
It was a good book.
So I don't know. We'll see. All right. So you guys both have Runaways. I had Venom. James Buck says, have you guys checked out the new publishing model from Scout Comics? They create a #1 comic and then the rest of the story in a trade paperback format.
I forget what they call that. They have a name for it.
They have a name for it. Yeah, I don't remember. But our friend Charlie actually is the co-publisher of that company. So, we love what they're doing over at Scout. And I think that's brilliant. I love that they're doing all these different stuff. And they're also, their trades are going to like Simon & Schuster. So they're doing a lot of great stuff over at Scout. And a big part of what I love about Scout is how much they love Kickstarter, which I also feel like is such a but a big business model that even, Image and other companies have been using, but they've been doing it before, Boom, before other places where they allow the creator to do a Kickstarter and then do a Scout version for, again, different fans. The Kickstarter fans are going to be different than the Diamond fans, the retailers. So I think that's great that they're doing that.
Yeah, and it's an interesting way to bring it out, too, to kind of give you a taste of what it's going to be like, and then you get the whole thing. Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
Right. Then Mark said he's doing Saga in trade, and then he also said Gideon Falls to me would also work better in trade. They actually have Gideon Falls in trade format as well that you can actually buy, and I agree with you. Gideon Falls, I read the first trade. I have not read since the first trade, and it's a really great series, and I just haven't had time to go out and buy the other trades and read it. But yeah, you're right. A book like that definitely reads better in trade.
See, Saga, I would say reads better in trade because I actually read most of the series in trade. But at the same time, they left us on such a killer cliffhanger. I would never want to read that in trade. I'm like, no, I need it to happen. It's been like 3 years. I need to know what happens next.
Is Saga definitely returning? Like, is it for sure?
They're working on it now. We just don't know when. I know the least that Brian K. Vaughan said, we're working on the issues now. So,
God, I can't wait, man. When that book comes back, everyone and their mother is going to buy that next issue. That thing's going to be hot.
That was honestly one of the best single issues I've read in maybe the past 5 years. Was that last issue. And of course they had this longest hiatus because spoiler alert, but something happens to one of the main characters where you're just like, whoa, you
didn't see it coming.
I did not expect that to be the series at all. So I love Brian K. Vaughan. He's legit my favorite writer of all time. He created Runaways.
But see, you say like, I didn't expect something like that to happen, but look at Saga as a series as a whole. And wasn't that book full of surprises to begin with, though?
Oh, yeah, for sure. There's so many twists and turns in that book. It's such a wonderful series that's driven by character, and every comic should try to be Saga. I know it's hard to say that, but, that's what I want to say is, like, it also does well with floppies because it has the cliffhangers. Even though it reads really well with trade, when you have that cliffhanger, you're like, oh, my God, I want that next issue, and I do believe Saga does a good job at that. Like, I think Saga does a really good job at being good for trade and single issues, which is kind of impossible sometimes.
That's what is good about floppy books, man. You get that cliffhanger, and you just like, you close that book, and you're just like, I'm like, I gotta wait a whole other month for this, and that for me is comic books. That's what like comics is based off of, that last page cliffhanger, and obviously now you get spoiled a lot between the internet and, you know, people knowing in advance what's going to happen. But back in the day when you didn't have any of that stuff and you had to wait that entire month and you finally got that next issue and you couldn't wait to open it up. I mean, there's no better feeling in comics than that, you know?
Yeah, so, I agree. Yeah.
It's the best part.
All right. So let's talk about the one big book that was left. You're never too late to join the show. Doesn't matter. Never too late. Unless it's over.
If it's over, then you can watch the whole thing post live.
Right. Yeah. So, Future State Harley Quinn issue 2. Brent, what'd you think?
Not as good as the first issue for me, but I did enjoy her kind of getting the better of both Black Mask and Scarecrow, and kind of she just tore Scarecrow apart, right? Yeah, like he had overcome all that, and then she just destroyed him in one fell swoop. So I thought that was really good. And then she just like, I never liked Mask anyway, and just tossed it in the trash. It's like, okay. So yeah, it had some fun moments, but it's like,
it was just another story that was there.
Right. Exactly.
You know? So again, just like a lot of the Future State stuff, 2 stories, whatever it is, it's done. You know, unfortunately, it didn't have much weight.
Mm-hmm.
But if we have that Gotham book that's coming out, they could touch on Future Harley again.
Yeah,
so we'll see.
And it's the same, at least the same writer that's doing the ongoing. So I guess you'll get a vibe of what the ongoing is going to be about. I don't like the art for the ongoings. I don't know if I'll even try it. I'm not sure.
I don't know.
I don't know.
For it.
I don't know if I'm on board with any Harley book at this point, though.
It's hard to do Harley right. It really is. And I love Harley. I think she's great. But again, I'll stick with the show. I think the show does such a great job with her.
Right. All right, cool. So I'm going to pass it over to Mr. Fowler now, where we're going to do our most anticipated.
Yeah.
And the reason we're skipping chopping block is because we didn't have anything to chop. So
yeah, which is good, you know.
Yeah.
So it's rare, but
it is rare.
Good. Yeah. All right. So we got a bunch of books to talk about here. Let's wrap in all the Future State stuff. Get those out of the way. So we got Dark Detective issue 3, which that's the Dan Mora one. We've all been enjoying that. Are there 4? There's 4 issues of that one too, right? Or is this the last
I believe there is 4 issues. I do want to, before we go into this, I do want to bring it up because I don't want to ignore it.
Okay.
But James asks if we talked about Immortal Hulk. We didn't, but we are aware of what happened. At least I know the aware of what happened. That the artist put an anti-Semitic symbol in the book, kind of similar to what X-Men Gold did. Which sucks and is horrible, and Marvel's trying to rectify it, but I do hope they take it seriously and they're talking to the artist, because from what I've seen, this is not the first time he's done something like this. So I hope that Marvel takes it seriously.
Yeah, for sure.
I agree. I saw it. It was all over the place. I mean, how can you miss it too? I mean, you guys talked about it too. It's funny, like I read the issue before all that news dropped.
And I didn't see it.
I didn't notice it. And then when the news dropped, I'm like, oh shit. I'm like, yeah, okay. You know, and I showed my wife. My wife is Jewish. I'm not, but we celebrate both in our household. And you know, she's like, wow, that's crazy. You know, she didn't take offense to it in any way, because, you know, it is what it is. I mean, do I find if he's doing it on purpose, then that's not a good thing, you know? So hopefully that Marvel is taking care of the situation and whatnot. They did pull all those issues. And so, you know, you're not going to get that in reprints or trades or whatnot. So it's unfortunate. Like I said, I hope that Joe Bennett didn't do something like that on purpose, because that's not a good thing at all.
No, I agree. I hope it's not true. But like I said, I hope Marvel also does the research and looks to see if he did or not, and not just, you know, swiping away because the book's doing well. So I guess only time will tell on that.
Yeah. I mean, because if it is true, right, and you find out that he did do it on purpose, I won't be backing up any of his work. I don't care what it is.
Yeah, of course.
I agree, 100%. I agree.
Yeah.
Sorry to cut you on the most anticipated.
No.
I saw a couple comments about it, and I forgot about it when I saw it the first time. But I saw it again, so.
It was good to address it for sure. So getting back to Dark Detective, we're all enjoying that one. Don't really have to say much about it, I guess. Curious to see what his daughter does. The guy he's staying with, what his daughter does, and how that plays into the whole story.
Yeah, Dark Detective is another really good, DC Future State book, and I think Tamaki and Mora's artwork together are fantastic right now. Yeah. So I can't wait to see where all that goes, after this miniseries is over. Hopefully they touch on that some more. So, but really good. Another good book from them. Yeah.
Then we have Justice League #2, which we all enjoyed the first issue of that as well. They got the whole imposters going on in that book, right?
Yeah, that was the cliffhanger of that. I'm super excited. I really, really enjoyed Justice League.
Yeah,
all the characters are really cool. I love that version of the team, and I said this too. Like, I would love to see an ongoing of that, that version of the team too.
I know Newsarama was not me. I'm also working Newsarama, but I think it was. I have to see who was on Newsarama. But they did an article about maybe there'll be like another series. Like, there's hints in this issue that there could be a feature for Justice League. I'll look to see who wrote the article, but
that would be cool.
Yeah,
I would like that. And then Teen Titans, which apparently Kat's not crazy about, but
no, I've just been it's okay, and then I keep hearing even more lackluster things about it, so I'm just like, whatever. I'm more upset that the Red X stuff is just like they're just putting it in front of us. So I'm just like, I don't know.
Yeah.
You know what I heard, that who Red X could be? I don't know where I heard this. I saw it on a video. It was another YouTuber. I can't remember, but they were pointing out, I think it was Comic Tom. Comic Tom said that Clown Hunter could be Red X.
I thought that too. That was definitely my number one was Damian until we found out it's a new character. I don't think they're going to rename. Someone said Robin King in my comments because I did a video on it a little while ago.
Robin King?
Interesting. Yeah, Robin King.
The clone of Damian, that guy?
Yeah.
Okay, that's weird.
Yeah, I don't. Or I mean, obviously it could be a new character, but I hope it's not. I don't know, man. I honestly, I wish it was Damian. It's not going to be. Clown Hunter, they just made that character, so to give him another name, I don't know if that's going to happen.
I don't know. The setup didn't seem like it should be a new character. It seems like it should be somebody that had history, but whatever. Yeah. So there's just some interesting stuff in there. I still want to know how Cy Beast came to be.
I want to know that. Like,
I do too. Right. We saw him pop up in the end of Flash too, and it's like, okay.
Yeah. He's like, he gets the ring at the end, right?
Yeah. So what is that all about?
See, maybe we'll get more bits and pieces because I feel like, again, it was all like, it was a Swiss cheese type of issue. Like, you don't get the whole story there.
Right. Yeah. Then going over to the other side with the One King in Black book, we're going to talk about Thunderbolts #2, which Kat should be reading but isn't.
I should, but I'm not going to.
all that Taskmaster love, man.
That book was funny. That book was so funny, yeah.
I want to see who gets eaten by a dragon this time.
Oh, my God.
And, of course, Taskmaster, which was also a very surprising book that Mike and I have really been enjoying.
I don't know how. Were we on issue 3 on that one? Yeah. I don't know how they can top that last issue because that was so good.
It put him in a whole new light, that issue. Yeah.
Just like it made him ultra smart, and able to take him out.
Yeah, and tough. So it's like, okay, this guy's a real contender here. He could, he's not just a joke. Let's see. We got X-Force number 17, which Mike, I guess you're enjoying it. I dropped it, so I'm done.
Did you? You're not going to read the next issue? It has Quentin on there, man, with like Phoebe, and they're like, you see the cover, how they're walking together, and like the whole world behind them is falling apart, and they're just like in love and just walking by.
Oh man,
I'm very curious to see what this issue has, man.
Yeah, you're pulling me in with imagery, man. Come on.
That's what I do, man. I help you make decisions.
I know.
That's what I do.
A dealer, man.
Brett can never say no.
Come on, man. You want the stuff. You want that X-Force love.
All right, I'll give me another hit of that X-Force.
It's like that Valentine's Day action, man.
Oh shoot, yeah, maybe we'll see. Anyway, let's move on from X-Force now. We got Power Pack number 3, which Kat is just over the moon about.
My girl
Julie issue, yeah.
My girl Julie is talking. She's ready to talk, and I'm ready to read what she has to say. Yeah, that's it. That's all. I'm very excited for Power Pack, and I hope it's my pick of the week.
Yeah. She's been good in the whole series so far, but to see her take the lead is going to be fun.
Everyone's been super in character, which is always my worry for Power Pack, because there's been so many different variations of the characters, but this series does a really good job at continuity, and I'm shocked. Yeah,
me too. One I'm interested in is G.I. Joe Castle Fall number 1. This is the current IDW timeline, so it's kind of picking up there where Cobra has basically taken over the world. So they're in rule now, and G.I. Joe has been disbanded, and they just have like this little ragtag. So now they're infiltrating Cobra and trying to take them down from the inside. So that's going to be fun. Let's see. We got the return of Birthright. It's been a while since we've seen Birthright. Wow. Yeah.
That's so like the last arc.
Yeah, it's issue 46. I think it ends at 50. So it's the last little arc to wrap up the series. So I'm super excited about that. I love that series. We got Daredevil number 27, which you guys pulled me into. Last 2 issues have been phenomenal.
I'm stoked. I can't wait to read. It's Power Pack and then Daredevil. I'm so excited to read.
There's Daredevil.
No.
And then there's. I don't even read Power Pack, so it's not even like a comparison for me.
I think you would actually like Power Pack. I think you would.
It's fun.
I read that one shot that they had that one time. I think it was.
That wasn't as good.
No, that was
not. It has
not.
the wizard in it. This is good. This is good stuff. I feel like there's elements of Marvel you'd like. I mean, now it's too late, but it's never too late. Read Julie's issue. She might suck you in.
Daredevil is good though.
Daredevil is.
The last issue was phenomenally done, just all the way around.
Yeah, I completely agree. I'm hooked now, so I'm definitely going to have to go back and read the rest of it.
Yeah, that artwork, like Chiquetto's artwork.
Oh yeah,
he's the regular artist on that book.
Yeah,
I mean, throughout the series, you've had a few different artists when he needs a break, but when he does the artwork, man, it's a standout. It's so good.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Yeah. We got Erratic, which we mentioned earlier in the show. Hopefully issue 3 is better than issue 2 and more.
I hope Blonde Girl has something to do. That's all. Like, I'm just asking for Blonde Girl to do something.
She's gonna get knocked out, kidnapped, or something.
She's just gonna continue to be generic and be a trope. I want Blonde Girl to be the new Erratic.
That would be interesting. That'd be an interesting twist.
We got 3 more? This is issue 3.
Yeah,
I think it's a 5-issue. I think it's a 5-issue miniseries.
It's a 5-issue series. Yeah. So, I think if it does well, I think they could definitely come up with a volume 2 for it.
Especially if they do WA, we've seen them do it. So
I mean, they already did it with Year Zero. They come up with volume 2. So.
And also, they post their stuff on Webtoons, and I feel like Erratic actually would be a really good Webtoons comic. I think that would be a good demographic over there. So I don't know if they have posted that one in particular, but I know they posted previous ones on Webtoons.
I give AWA Upshot a lot of credit. total startup company. They've come out with some solid series. They survived COVID, because that came out right when COVID all hit, and just they've done pretty good for themselves.
Yeah,
I want to see that Jungle Book with the girls fighting each other. When are we getting that? We're waiting for it, but I'm gonna hate it.
There's this one book that's coming out. It's like called Casual Fling.
I saw that. I don't know if it was on my list to pick up, but I hear good stuff.
Yeah, it's like she has this one night stand with this guy, and then like he becomes psycho, like he stalks her, and like she has to find a way to get rid of him or something.
That's interesting. I like that they have a lot of different genres from that company.
Luna #1 was pretty good too. I did actually read that.
Was that AWA?
Was it? I don't know who that was.
Luna?
It might have been Boom. I don't remember.
Yeah, it was Boom. I just looked it up.
It was interesting. The compounds, cults, and hippies. So interesting stuff in Luna, but it was good. I was gonna say something. Oh yeah, it's amazing that AWA lasted because their whole premise was based on a global pandemic. So it was it was wild. Yeah, it was something.
I'm curious, like a year or two from now, because a lot of these books are probably already paid for, and they're already we're in the bucket when they launch. So I'm curious, like, will COVID end up affecting them? Have we seen it yet? Right.
Yeah. And then the last book we have to talk about is what Kirkman has said. I'm paraphrasing. This is the book people that are missing Invincible want to read, which is Radiant Black #1. I know there's been a lot of buzz about it, and I forget what they compared it to. It's like Power Rangers meets something.
Let me look it up because I knew it was Power Rangers, and it's Kyle Higgins who's writing it, so that makes sense.
They even did a Power Rangers homage cover with the helmet.
They did a
that's cool.
They did a Spider-Man.
Did they? Invincible. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
They did a variant cover of Spider-Man. What is it? Secret Wars issue 8, the first appearance of the black suit.
Oh yeah.
They did a variant cover of that for that book also. I'm excited about this book. I mean, you don't see too many superhero genre books in Image Comics, so whenever there is one, I feel like it could be really good.
Yeah.
Also, again, Kyle Higgins, the comparisons, the artwork, looks really good for that book. Honestly, I've been looking forward to it ever since it's been announced. So I know a lot of people are like, you got to try it. It's like, it's been on my list. It was never an option not to try it. So
yeah, the second I heard about it, it's like, oh yeah, I'm definitely giving that a shot. I really hope it lives up to the hype.
Me too.
I don't want to be let down by it. But
the last superhero book that we had was Stealth. There was that one where the guy
that and Commander, technically Commanders in
Crisis,
but it wasn't like a great book,
right?
At least for us, like for me and Brant. Like I only read the first issue. I'm like, oh, this isn't for me. And then Brant got up to like issue 2.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay.
So that's all for most anticipated, though. Yeah.
All right. So before we close out the show, I know we already did talk about the Kickstarter. Was there anything else that you guys wanted to promote for yourselves?
I don't think so. Just the Kickstarter. That's been my focus, that and this show.
This show part of the Kickstarter.
Yeah.
For me, I have an anthology book coming out, so definitely go check it out. It's a bisexual anthology book, so looking for other bisexual creators or people interested in the LGBTQ plus community. Got a lot of really good feedback for it, so I'm really excited about it. It has over 200 likes on Twitter and like 150 retweets, so it's getting a lot of good exposure, and I'm really, really excited about this book. It's something close to me, so I'm really excited. So if you guys know of any writers that fit that description, definitely go send it their way. We've already gotten a lot of responses for the book. So go check that out, and I'll put the tweet. It really does help if you just retweet it and share it. I believe March 18th is the deadline, so you have about a month and a half to do it. So I'm really proud, like I said, and I'm excited to get that out there. Other than that, the My Folly Daughter issue 7, like I said, is gonna be hitting people's inboxes hopefully tomorrow or Thursday. So all good stuff coming up, and like we said, the Kickstarter for Comic Book Weekly as well. But and best comics of the week tomorrow. We'll see. Does Power Pack make #1? Who knows?
Yeah,
we had a question from Mark. He goes, so was Phoenix Thor's mom? We talked about that at the beginning of the show for the most part, and we don't know yet. So you're gonna have to wait for that next issue to find out. But we did talk about it, so you'll have to catch it on the rewind. When we get the show, we're gonna start doing timestamps in the future.
Yeah,
so
when we do the podcast,
you guys know when we talk about certain things. So so stay tuned for that. I guess when it comes for myself, you guys can check out on my YouTube channel, Comic Book Corner 2.0. You can check out top 10 comic book covers of the week, where you can vote for your favorite comic book cover of the week. Top 10 most anticipated comic books for next week just dropped today, so you can check that out. Tomorrow is New Comic Book Day, so we have Comic Book Haul episode 460 coming out tomorrow. I can't believe that number, man. And then on Thursday, I brought back what used to be my live stream, but ever since COVID hit, I can't do it anymore because I just don't have the time because my kids are home, my wife's home. So I brought back After the Poll, but I brought it back to a version where I just read 5 of the comics from my poll, and I talk about those 5 comic books. And I give you my thoughts on those books. So I'm happy to kind of bring back that series in a way. And I called that segment in my stream was called Pass It Up or Pick It Up. So I let you know if you should pick up that comic or pass it up. So hopefully you guys will check out all that content. Hopefully you'll check out Cat Comic Uno's content. Brant Fowler doesn't have any content on YouTube.
No, not on YouTube right now. But I did forget one thing. I'm expecting something in the mail this week tied to The Last Ember. So
he won't do a YouTube video on it, but
well, you never know. But stay tuned to at Last Ember Press across social media, because I'll be updating all that if it does arrive. So
yeah. So I was going to say, go to Last Ember Press and then check out Brant's fabulous work there that he's doing. So I guess that's it, guys. So we're gonna close out the show for tonight. Thank you for spending your evening with us, and we'll see you guys next week. Have a great week, and happy New Comic Book Day, everyone. Have a good night. Take care.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
Bye.